All right, last but certainly not least, our motor constraint. So let me go ahead and show you an example of what this is going to look like and why we would use something like this. I'm going to go ahead and press play. Now, as you can see, we have our cylinder rotating. Now, this isn't just a keyframed rotation. This is actually physical movement. So this would actually affect something if you were to throw a cube at it or something like that. Now, one of the most common uses is for fan blades or car tires or something of that nature. Either way, I'm going to show you guys how to set this up. So let's go ahead and press pause here. Now, what we're going to need is quite a few things here. You can see we have two empties, okay? We have our cylinder and a box. We're going to set this up from scratch. I'm going to go ahead and delete everything. I'm going to first start by adding in a cube. Now, this is going to be our passive object, so I'm going to add a rigid body passive object. I'm then going to add a cylinder. Now, you don't have to add a cylinder. You can add anything you like. Either way, I'm going to show you how to set this up. I'm going to go ahead and scale this down just a little bit. I'm going to add a rigid body, type active. It doesn't really matter the shape because we're just going to be moving this thing basically. I'm going to add two empties. First of all, I'm going to add an empty with arrows right here. I'm going to move that down below our cube. Now, if you don't see it originally, it's because it will spawn inside the cube depending on the world origin is. Now, right here, this is going to be for our first constraint. We're going to be using two in order to make this happen. We're going to be using a hinge constraint and then a motor constraint. First of all, though, I'm going to duplicate this, Shift D, and then press Z to lock it to the Z axis. Now we have our two constraints here. What we're going to do is we're going to click on our first one. We're going to add a rigid body constraint. The type is going to be hinge. And then I'm simply going to select our cube and then our cylinder. If we press play, nothing should happen because we have this constraint set up. Our second constraint is going to be this one up here. Before we can actually do this though, we're going to have to rotate our y-axis downwards like this on 90 degrees so that our x is facing down. And this will make sense in just a moment. Click on your cylinder, go ahead and click on your empty, add a rigid body constraint. Type is going to be motor. So this is where we're going to set our motor up. Now, in order to set our motor up, we're going to have to select our two objects. Our first object is going to be our cylinder, and our second object is going to be our cube. Now, if we press play, nothing happens because we have to enable one more setting, and that's going to be our angular motion right here. So I'm going to go ahead and checkbox that. Let's go ahead and press play, and as you can see, we have some rotation. Now, these two values are basically going to be the speed, more or less, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust our target velocity to 4. And you can see we have a little bit of a faster rotation here. You guys can set that to whatever you like. And our max impulse is also going to be our motor impulse. So I'm going to go ahead and set that to 3. And let's go ahead and take a look and see what we get here. You can see we have some rotation here. I think typically setting these to 1 just looks better, but you guys can experiment with these values however you like. I know this was a lot to set up for just a motor, but you do need kind of 4 different elements here. Again, what would be the primary use case could be either a car, some tires rotating on a car, or maybe fan blades, something along those lines, something that you want to have consistently moving. Again, you want this to be physical movement, not just a keyframed value. So that's kind of the difference here. And that concludes our constraints.